Then you just write down the symbols or the colors, the image, whatever it happens to be, and you can decipher it. Keeping in mind again to keep them in the order in which you receive it. Okay? So that you don't screw up the order. Then that changes the meaning. And also, make sure you get the right color, because that refines the meaning. Make a big difference. Because remember, now that we've done this, I want to ask you again about this symbol that you've seen in a department store. Okay? What does that say to you? Now you know what the color means, you know what the symbol represents. So put them together, and what is this company telling you about itself, or want you to do? What's going on with that? First of all, let's decide. What is a circle with the dot? Physically, it's the pineal gland. Yes? And what does it mean? It means awareness. What does the color mean? It's red, it's bright red. Anger, frustration, sexuality. So what does that say? You're driving along, you see this symbol on the board, on the sign. What is that doing to you? What are they hoping they know it's doing to you? Well, it's saying, be aware that in this place, you will have an awareness of your sexuality and frustrations can be met here. They see this, they just go in that store, they don't know why. That's why you see them all along the highways. It's enticement to come in. It's saying, it's hitting you right here. It's at your center point. So no matter what brain you're in at the moment, it's centering, it's pulling you here and saying, oh God, I've got to go in that store because my sexuality, my hostility, my frustration, I'm going to find something to do with it there. I need that. It's a really brilliant archetype. So simple, and I bet they paid millions of dollars for it. I would have done it for half or whatever they paid. So now you know what this is about. There's a car, and I think it's a Japanese car, that has a symbol that looks like that. Do you know, did you see it? It's not, is it Mitsubishi or is it, yeah, I've seen it and I can't remember what the car brand is, but what is that telling you? This is a symbol of power, and now there's two of them, so it's saying double power, real power in this car. You're really going to be a hot stuff in this thing. Okay? And they're using all the car manufacturers, one of the first to do this was to use our archetypes instead of logos or the name. Now in the 21st century, this is what you're going to be seeing. Not the words, but this. Because they know that's the God-mind language. Now, no advertising. You see this, you know all about it. Brilliant.
Now, where did the translation symbols come from?
I was waiting for someone to ask me that. Well, a couple of answers for that. She said, where did the translations come from? Well, number one, when the conventional government back in 47 found that Roswell crash that we talked about last night, and it found those I-beam from the ship with all these symbols on it, there were these symbols on the I-beam. You needed to understand what that was about. When 54 came, remember 1954, when the actual was interaction with the president and these alien beings, one of their agreements was to decipher these symbols. And we had a basic dictionary of what some of the symbols meant. So when Montauk came along, one of my jobs was to go into hyperspace and find these symbols and decipher or discern the meanings. And that's what we did. And that was a very, very long, years and years that it took. And that's how we deciphered the meaning. And we proved it or tested it by transmitting it into space, and we get answers. And in fact, I talked about the string of pearls comet that hit Jupiter back in 93 or 4. And one of the jobs I had when I worked at the military base in Philadelphia was that one of the pieces was transmitting these symbols to the earth. And one of my jobs was to decipher what the heck they were transmitting. And so, yes, that's how we started to know the meanings of them. But no matter where you are, what reality, what species, doesn't matter, this is fundamental to you. It's an interuniversal language, God-mind language. It's the language from which all things have descended. Verbal and written communication is the lowest form of communication. Took a smack in the head, that's really lower than that. But yeah, that's verbal and written language is the lowest, because it's ambiguous. What does it mean? You know, sometimes there can be a sentence, what do they mean by that? But this, there's no, the color and the shape tell you, this is what I mean. Very. And there's no conjugation, no punctuation. It's very easy. No spelling mistakes.
And no plural life.
And how many archetypes are there? Infinite. How many thoughts you have? Every thought has an archetype. How many thoughts have there ever been? That's how many archetypes there are. Quite extensive. But what you have there in the book is a basic dictionary. Along those lines, I'm going to give you now what is called, what the government called, dolphin frequency. You've heard about dolphins for 20 some odd years now. Half of it isn't true. Some of it is, some of it isn't. Again, disinformation. What's the difference between misinformation and disinformation? Who knows the difference? Misinformation is information that you're given that's misunderstood or misinterpreted. Disinformation is information given for the purpose of lying to you in a sandwich of lies and truth. It's called a lie sandwich. There's either two lies on the outside and the truth in the middle, or two truths on the outside and the lie in the middle. Either way, the whole story isn't true. But you think it is because of that one piece of truth in there, in the sandwich. Understand? That's the disinformation. Part true, mostly not. But you think the whole thing is because you know that part is true. That's what some of these entities do when they channel, or they give you this stuff. They know your grandmother's maiden name, and they know that. They know that, then everything else is telling me is true. No. It's tapping into your own intelligence and giving you your own information back. That's another whole topic. So be careful. What color can we use to discern if it's true? Pale orange. Remember the pale orange. You're talking to somebody, did I discuss this with you, the pale orange? If I'm talking to somebody, and I want to see if they're telling me the truth, I visualize pale orange around them. If they're lying to me, the color will change, and then I'll know it's not true. If the color stays pale orange, I know they're telling me the truth. Also, I can forcibly hold that person in the pale orange so that they can't change color. Then if that person still wants to lie to me, they won't be able to speak. They'll just throw their hands up and walk away. If they're violent, they might hit me first and then walk away, but they just won't be able to speak. So try that on your own in your daily life and see how it works for you. Now, there's only two colors that are cosmically or legally allowed to force somebody in without permission. One of them is the pale orange, because absolute truth is always permissible. The other is the violet, because filtering and protection is also always permissible. Those two colors can never hurt anybody. Now, remember I spoke to you this morning about pale pink? And you might think, well, pale pink might be okay too because it's unconditional love. But you don't have permission because there are some, especially male people, who would not like the pale pink and would be antagonized by it. So that pale pink, you still need permission.